Hello people, it's Jason here from Custom Cans, and today we have a set of quad ERA-1s or ERA-1s. And the problem we've been told is that they've got a loose connection in one side, so I'm going to open them up, investigate to see what the issue is. Initially we thought it might be the cable, so they've kindly bought one of our cables to test it with, but that didn't fix it, so they've sent the headphones in. We're going to have a look inside, see what's going on, but initial impressions, these feel beautifully made. Really nice, like metal ear cups, feels like machined aluminium. The hinges are nice. Yeah, just yeah, they feel really nicely made. They've got angled pads, and they've got, as you can see, they've got holes in the pads which will have been to do with the tuning. The head cushions I don't like quite so much. The material feels very thin. I feel it's going to peel over time, but I don't know. The ear pads feel good. Ear cups feel amazing. These are really good. Nice. So initially I'm just going to plug them in and have a test and see what ting up Guam. Oh no. Yeah, as you turn your head you get sort of crackling and cutting out in this ear. Yeah, it definitely feels a bit loose. Oh, it's cut out altogether now. Right, so there's definitely a fault, and when you wiggle, it feels a little bit wiggly. Oh, yeah, the actual socket, I don't know if you can see that, but the socket is moving inside the housing. So I suspect, yeah, the socket has come loose inside the ear cup, and it's causing that to cut out. So hopefully it's just a bit of soldering and a bit of gluing, maybe. But it'd be very interesting to have a look inside these and see what's going on in there. So let's have a look. How are these going to come apart? Let's get the ear pads off first. That's always a good start. And how do they? Oh, they unpop. Let's have a look at the ear pads. So they're glued on. Right. So yeah. So they've got these adapter rings with the poppers on, which is glued on, but it does look like you could kind of unpick that and reuse these with sort of standard pads if you wanted to. Obviously I'm sure you can buy the original quad ERA ones, but if necessary you could reuse those adapter rings for some other pads. Oh, it looks like these are planers. Yeah, I have no idea what these are about, but yeah, they feel really good. I think they're quite expensive, but you know, they put the money where it counts. So let's have a look. So underneath we have a plastic retaining ring, which is what these pop into, and that looks like that's screwed to the metal housing. So next we'll have to see if we can get in there. Looks like a Torx bit. I'm thinking T3, T4, so, oh, a T5, it might be a T6. Let's have a look. It is a T6. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, loads of headphones seem to use a T6 screw, which is nice. It just means because as you can see we've got really nice wearer T6 screwdrivers just because we use those all the time. And yeah, so Sennheisers, Bear Dynamics, looks like the quads. A lot of them are using the T6 and T10 screws, which cuts down the number of screwdrivers you need, which is good. Right, so inside, as you can see, so you've got nice aluminium housing. You've got this part here which is a separate piece of aluminium. Inside you've got mesh made up of two parts. So you've got this outer part which is pressed into shape, and then the other part's just a flat bit which is probably jet cut or something like that, water jet cut. But yeah, really nice housings. As you can see, you've got big thick standoffs here with screws tapped in to take this, and the actual driver itself is very rigid. It's really built well. It's got very thick plastic, loads of solidity, so when it joins in with that, yeah, it makes these a little bit heavy, but you've got that real rigidity to help it put more of that energy into making sound rather than rattling the driver. I like a bit of rigidity, a bit of weight. But yeah, obviously it's gonna weigh on you a little bit more. Yeah, so there you can see where the wires are soldered on. It's very thin wires linking to the thing, but I suppose voice coil wires are also very thin. But your problem with the socket here is, I think, where it's moving around, you've just got a little grub screw in here. It was at that point I realised the actual socket itself was faulty, and I didn't have any sockets small enough, so I ordered the smallest socket I could find online in order to replace it. As you can see, I just had to kind of mark up the positive side so when I unsoldered the drivers I wouldn't forget. removed that old socket from there, then unsoldered the wires, pulled it through, and then a little bit of a test fit, and no, they did not fit. So I had to use a scalpel to kind of shave them down a bit, make them a little bit smaller so they'd fit. Then I thought, while I'm in there, might as well replace the wires that are in there. So I've used some of our fancy graphene coated litz just to replace the original wires that are in there. Did actually have a report back from the customer saying it sounded a little bit better. So so maybe rewiring them might be a good idea. The original wires are very thin. As you can see there, I've used a little bit of hot glue just to kind of hold it all in place once I've screwed it back in. The other screw that was holding the socket in didn't want to come out, so I've used a bit of heat there just to release the original glue, and then I could get that undone to replace it. Again, it's just kind of a rinse and repeat, so using a very small Allen key to release the grub screw, and then replacing the socket and rewiring it with slightly better, well, much better wire inside. Overall, the operation was pretty straightforward once I'd figured out what the problem was, and it was just quite good that I managed to find sockets that looked quite neat in there. When they were actually back in, you couldn't really tell the difference between them and the OEM one. So anyway, that was relatively easy to do. Really nicely made headphones. If you've got any questions about the Quad ERA-1s or repairing headphones or anything like that, stick a comment down below, and obviously like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this kind of thing. Unfortunately, I forgot to film an outro for this, so you can just see me putting that together. And then yeah, anyway, it's been super awesome hanging out, and I will see you guys again. Jason out.